Being that The Last of Us is one of my favorite multiplayer games of all time, in fact, at the moment, I would consider it my overall favorite. Figured I'd just put out a video kind of showcasing some of the tips and tricks that I've learned while you're playing the game. Now, bear in mind, these are just what I've learned. I'm certainly not claiming to be the best at this game. In fact, I consider myself average at best. I don't have time to play video games hardcore like I used to, so this isn't how to get like 1,000 kills and 0 deaths. These are just little tips and tricks that I think you can apply during a game that might get you a couple more kills, maybe a couple less deaths, keep you, keep you on your toes, make sure you know what you're doing. And as this game's getting started up here, I kind of joined just a little bit after the game started. This is the university map. This is probably one of my favorite maps in the whole game. I think this map is very cool. I like the whole university setting. I think it's got some cool little ins and outs. The center area is obviously a lot more exposed than anything else. For this game here, and most of the games that I play, I typically do run with the hunting rifle, and as you can see right there, that's usually why. I think I'm pretty quick on the jump to score with it, to score with a shot right off the bat. I'm not always perfect with it, and there's a lot of scenarios I hit that I'm maybe I should have pulled out my pistol or went with another gun, but 9 times out of 10 I feel like it's the right gun for me. It always just feels right, and especially even after you upgrade it, it's got its perks. Definitely the main one being that the reload speed's a little bit quicker. But one of the main things I've noticed when you're playing this game is you're going on the offensive isn't something that's always recommended. In fact, most of the time my death results in going on the offensive when I should have been playing more defensively. Rushing in to kill someone isn't something I'd recommend. A lot of people would consider that a beginner tip, and I can see why, but even veteran players do it. We're all guilty of it. You know, when you damage a guy, the first thing you want to do is just run in, finish him off, secure that kill, and maybe perform an execution just so you look badass while you're getting the kill. I think everyone does that. I love the execution animations. In fact, I think they're made so flashy to kind of encourage you to run up and perform them and make you not think, especially with that execution pack, which I don't currently have. There was a nice headshot just a few seconds ago. That's kind of what I'm doing right here. I'm like, all right, this looks good. Let me go perform an execution. What happens? Bam! Walk into an enemy nest. Down. Could have been completely avoided had I just hung back, given it a couple seconds. Maybe not gone for the execution, but you still get the points for being down. So that tactic, if you will, I would consider to be paramount to success in this game, because if you're hanging back, use your teammates as kind of like a UAV from Call of Duty, if you will. Use them to see what, like right there. I saw him shooting at someone, so then I come up with the follow-up, get the kill there, or get the down. I believe he ends up dying off, though, because someone comes in to revive him. You'll see here in a minute. But use your teammates to kind of see where the enemies are going, and then in situations like this, you can get the jump on some guys, get in there, and make sure that the kills you perform are scored to you, and then also protect your teammates. He throws a smoke bomb to try and throw us off, but I managed to dodge it. Me and my boy right there, you see we kind of clear out the area, but then someone starts coming up from behind. I opt to go in here and gather my little collectible rewards. But yeah, just kind of hanging back and playing more defensively is certainly one of the bigger keys of this game. Another thing I think is really important is definitely utilizing your team. I kind of touched on that here a minute ago, but not even just watching and seeing where they're shooting, but typically I recommend traveling in a pack. Now, a little bit later on in this game, you're going to see me fly solo, and it was risky to say the least, but we'll get to that when that actually happens up on the screen here. You got to utilize your team. I think, at least from my perspective, and typically being the sniper, I fulfill a role that isn't always fulfilled. A lot of times when I'm playing like with a semi-auto rifle or the frontier rifle, a lot of times you'll have a guy on the team who's a bow and everyone else is assault rifles or what have you. So when I play the sniper class, usually I'm the only one doing that on my team, and if I'm not, a lot of times I'll switch just because I like to have a balanced team. But I think working with your team, having balance as far as weapons, and also using them to figure out where the enemy is, performing ambushes. All of that is very vital. Right here, I believe, is where I see them closing in down there. I know the enemy's not behind me. I know they're not up that way in front of me, so they have to be in that building. So I choose to fly solo here. Now, this is something that I would not typically recommend. In fact, even looking back, I probably shouldn't have done it, but this can yield you good results if the bulk of your team is assaulting the enemy from the front, and you can sneak around back and flank them. You can save your team from what otherwise would have been a grisly death. Like right there, they're clearly getting the better of my team. So I'm thinking in my mind, I'm going to sneak around back here. I'm going to do what needs to be done. I'm going to take these guys out. Turns out they've actually moved from this building, and they're pushing my team back at this point. That's why I'm trying to scope them in. And while I gather the parts here, I try to make the trip not wasted if at all possible. I do also regret doing it at this point because I'm not benefiting my team, and I think we ended up losing a guy because of it. So I think it's important to kind of stick with your team, and even if you're not going to stick with them like on their ass, just at least stay within proximity in case a situation like that where someone goes down, you can actually swoop back in and rescue them. At this point right here, I realize they've made it around, I've made it around, so that whole trip, that whole flank was worthless in my venture. So definitely utilizing your team a lot more than most people would. You know, you still get people who come into this game and they try and solo it, and there is a lone wolf perk. If you can rock it solo and you're good at it, by all means do it, but you also need to utilize your team because that's what they're there for. This is a team-based game, and I do wholeheartedly recommend utilizing the team aspect of it. Right here, they actually managed to flank us. So what this means is they caught us, all of us in one area. As you can see, me and this guy, we try and hold them off, but at this point the majority of our team's fucked. One of them's dead, the other one's on the other side of the map. So I'm the last one standing. I have a sniper rifle. I'm not in a good position here. I do my best, you know, but it's a sniper rifle and I've got two guys on me now, you know, so I try and jump in there and melee them. It doesn't work. In that situation, there wasn't a whole lot else I could have done other than turn tail and run, but even at that point, it's just a matter of how quickly can you respond to these situations and make the right call. Sometimes I do make the right call, sometimes I don't, but that's what I love about this game and why it's probably my favorite multiplayer out currently. It's tactical, you know, it's not run and gun. Not that there's anything wrong with run and gun. I'm a big Call of Duty fan. I'm also a big Titanfall fan. Run and gun, fast-paced, all good. But this game here, you actually have to think because, you know, you don't have a whole ton of ammo. You have to craft your items and your grenades and whatever. You don't just get them upon spawn. So you actually have to think 2 steps ahead. What am I going to craft? What am I going to use this for? And that kind of leads me into my third point here. As far as the crafting items goes, just try and be smart about it. As far as like recommendations, it really just depends on each little scenario you're in. If there's a group of guys and you know where their cover is, typically, if you're the only one assaulting them, I'd recommend a bomb over a smoke bomb. Just because that's more likely to do more damage. Now, if you guys are closing in, if your team is closing in on somebody, kind of like right here, well, what we just did, not at the beginning, but just right now, it'd probably be better to utilize like a smoke bomb because then you can kind of cause mass chaos while you still have the higher numbers. The Molotov is kind of the in-between, you know, because that's guaranteed to kill somebody if you hit them direct head-on with it. But you can also, if you're not very careful, it's very easy to damage yourself with it, and it's not as easy to use in close quarters because of that wide radius. As you can see here, this guy's trying to get that bomb to explode. The bombs can be planted, which is really good if you're holding up somewhere. So if you're down and you're feeling hurt, you don't have as many men, you know, definitely throw a couple of those bombs down, protect your ass. If you got like a window that you're not going to be looking out, you know, throw it down there. You know, just use it to the best of your ability to keep the enemy on their toes. Now, if you're asking me as far as craftables, I tend to craft the Molotov way too much, even in situations where it wouldn't actually benefit me over the bomb and the smoke bomb. And that's just because I like the idea of it instantly killing whoever I throw at it. You don't have to wait for it to explode or anything like that. And I think that's just like, I think that's a common thing as well, because so many times I see people running around with Molotovs trying to throw them into a group of enemies when they don't have the numbers. like kind of like what he just did right there. That hurt me, but it didn't kill all of us, and he actually ends up dying because of it. Now they actually get the numbers game here in a minute. The backup arrives, but him right there, he just died because instead of throwing like a smoke bomb and disorienting us, he went for some mega kill with the Molotov, and sometimes that works, but most of the time it doesn't. So if there's a group of enemies coming at you, or if you're trying to scour a group of enemies and disorient them, I definitely recommend the smoke bomb over the Molotov for that very reason. And as you'll see right here, things kind of get a little crazy. This kind of leads into my next point here. If your team is getting it taken advantage of, kind of ties into what I said before, flanking can be good, but as you're going to see right here, it can also not be good. So here I am, you know, my team's got one guy out and they're retreating. I think I can just swoop in and save the day. It doesn't really work that way because they quickly realize what I'm doing. At this point, I only have a rifle. I've used all my pistol ammo. So I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go in here, take some cover, and just try and collect my thoughts for a minute while I wait for my team to back up. That's not what happens. That guy knows exactly where I'm going, and he ends up killing me because of it. So being one step ahead of your enemy and knowing the map is definitely my last tip, and that just comes with playing the maps and getting to know and familiarize yourself with them. The longer you play, the better you're going to be. Once you know those spots, I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know that door he came out of existed, and I've been playing this game since it came out in 2013. You're always going to be learning new things, but as soon as you learn those spots to flank people, as soon as you know the areas that people tend to frequent, you can use the cover and you can use the environment to your advantage instead of having it used against you. And that's what I think it ultimately boils down to. You can have the biggest gun, you can have the assault rifle, the grenade launcher, the fucking shotgun, you know, but until you know the spots where people are going to be coming out of, it's purely luck based on whether you're going to get the jump on somebody or not. Until you learn those spots and you know where they're going to be coming, I recommend just playing as defensively as you can. And even when you do know the spots, defensively is always going to yield more results than offensively in a game like this. So those are my tips. That's how I've been trying to adapt my playing style. It's a different game than your Call of Duty or your like Battlefield, so it does take some getting used to, but I'm having the most fun with The Last of Us that I've had with a multiplayer game in a long time. In fact, despite that it's been out for over 2 years now, I believe, it is still my most played multiplayer game for that reason. I think it's a lot of fun, and hopefully these tips help you out a little bit. They're not pro tips or anything like that, but they're just things that I've picked up on playing the game for over 2 years. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. You know, if you want to throw a like or subscribe, feel free. Hopefully I can have more of these videos coming out soon, but I appreciate your time watching this video. Just a couple tips and tricks for The Last of Us multiplayer online.